Hey guys, it's Dr. Tracy here, and I'm going to walk through the structure of games for you, at least briefly, and we can talk more tomorrow at our Zoom meeting about what this chapter is. But to get started, click here on the first page where it says topics, and this week it is structure of games. When you open up this page, the first thing you're going to see is the rules of Go Fish. I want you to kind of think about Go Fish. If we were in class together and face to face, I'd actually hand you a deck of cards and ask you to play Go Fish with some of the people in your group. So do that. Grab the roommate, your friend, your mom, dad, sister, brother, kids, and play Go Fish. And as you play Go Fish several times, and I've put the rules here if you don't know how to play it, several times with different people, I want you to think about that game as you play it. Go Fish is a game. Nobody can argue. But what makes it a game? And why? Is it fun? Is it not fun? What makes it a game? Why do we call Go Fish a game? Now go play Quake. And I've given you a couple of links where you can go play it online for free. Play it a few times. And then think, Quake is a game. What makes it a game? Is it fun? Why? And now what I really want you to get out of this is to think that Go Fish and Quake are two totally separate and entirely different games. Yet they're both games, arguably both fun. So then how do we understand what is a game? And that's kind of the discussion and focus for this week. The definition of game is a form of play, especially competitive, played according to rules decided by skill, strength, or luck. When you have a game, it's something that you agree to play. I've given you a article to read here, What is a Game, on the gamesjournal.com. Please take a look at that article. We're going to discuss that when we meet next. I've also linked a video on what is a game, and this is a great view. I'm not going to play it here, but I do think that you should play it. And I also have this other one about what is a game so that you can answer the discussion at the bottom. But let's take a look at the chapter 2. And in chapter 2, I can wait for my PowerPoint to load. In chapter 2, we're talking about the structure of games. So in that discussion of the structure of games, you think about how are they similar, how are they the same, and what makes them a game. You have to put that into words to truly understand what a game is. Something like Go Fish is fun to play, and that's a game. Then what distinguishes it from Quake that is fun to play, and that's a game? So what are the things that define the way that a game is? One of the things that could come out in your thoughts is that games have players. Games are things that demand participation. Watching a movie isn't a game. Reading a book isn't a game. But as soon as there's some level of participation and interaction, whether it's single or multi, there is a level that players are participating. There's also the idea that when players participate in the game, they are voluntarily accepting that there are rules associated with this game. For example, in Go Fish, hopefully you played it. If not, pause this video, go play Go Fish. It's not okay to grab the other player's cards and take whatever cards you want. It's not okay to lie about what cards you have or what cards you don't have. Those rules are part of the way the game is played. And once you start doing different things other than the rules that are generally accepted for the game can be no fun to other players because you have now exceeded what was expected of that game. The same thing is true when you play a video game like Quake. There are things that you can't do. In video games, you might be limited, and it stops you from doing anything that would be outside of the rules by creating borders or barriers. Games also have objectives. Objectives is what are you supposed to be doing? What is your specific goal? And if this doesn't happen, then it's just not this game. In Go Fish, the objective is to get out of cards. The way you get out of cards is by being able to lay down when you have 4 of a kind until you don't have anything else. The hindrance against that is that if people don't have what you need and you have to pick up cards, you end up picking up a lot of cards. The procedures are those detailed instructions on what the players have to do in order to reach those game objectives. And maybe it's not possible to reach the game objectives sometimes, but it should be at least possible once or twice. If you played Go Fish, eventually you'll win. If you play it enough times, depending on who you play with. If you played Quake enough to where you got used to how to shoot and when to shoot and what to do, you'll eventually get to an end and you will have achieved the game objective. But that in the meantime, the stuff that you're doing from the time that you start and the time that you meet the objectives is defined by what procedures are set out within that game. And also what rules, because that's what the game consists of and what players can and cannot do. And that will limit the behavior. An implicit agreement by the players that are submitting to participate within the game experience is what indicates the structure of the game. For example, football. I love football. But it wouldn't be any fun if players just ran out of bounds and that was okay. Ran up in the stands and then down the other side and then into the touchdown zone. Because then you would think there's no way that that's fair. And if games aren't fair, then they aren't really games. One-sided games tend to lose players. Another thing that defines games is resources that are part of games. Every game has a resource, an object that is valuable because of this game. Maybe it's a coin, maybe it's money, maybe it's points, maybe it's chocolate bars. I don't know. It depends on the game. But the value that something is given has zero value outside of that game. If I said right now, I have 36 Super Bowl points and 5 aces for my Go Fish game, but I'm not playing that game. I don't have any of that, and it's not valuable. But within the game, they are made value by their scarcity and by their utility. Things that are used to win or to get better or to buy better equipment or to live longer or to destroy other people. All of those things are given value by the game, and those resources define what a game is. There's also conflict within a game. If the goal of the game is just to get rid of your cards in Go Fish, that's why you can't play it by yourself. Because how easy would that be? Find all the cards, set them down, you win. There's no conflict. There's just you picking up cards and setting down cards until cards are all set down. And eventually they would be if you picked up every single card, because you would have to go fish every time, because the person you're playing with, there isn't a person you're playing with to ask for cards. Anyway, conflict is what happens when the procedures and the rules that the players have to use to play the game that they accept to participating in the experience may also limit or deter them from accomplishing the goals directly. What that means is it's not necessarily going to be easy. If it was easy, it might not be fun. So we define conflict to make it more difficult that will present a challenge. All of this is the boundaries, which are implied by the rules as a social agreement, and also include the physical boundaries, which limit the space that you could be in during your participation within the game. The outcome of a game should be uncertain. The certainty is that there will be a measurable outcome, or that it will be unequal and not able to be anticipated. If you can anticipate the outcome of a game, you're going to stop playing it. My 3-year-old niece likes to play a game. She always wins. I anticipate the outcome of the game. I don't know how to play the game because the rules change every single week. But I know that she will always win. I don't stop playing because she's cute, but I really hate that game. All of these things in talking about in this chapter, players, objectives, goals, procedures, rules, conflict, outcome, they're all put together in what's called formal events. Formal elements. Formal elements are the things that all games share. So when we're talking about Go Fish, or we're talking about Quake, or we're talking about football, or any of the games that you play on your console, on your PC, board games, they all share formal elements. They all have this same structure, which engages the player through challenge and creates a game system that we call play. And play is fun, and that makes a game. So the overarching concept of any game is to describe the context of its formal elements using its features. By engaging the player, we can tell dramatic stories by including some of the dramatic elements like a character and a story, and and put that all together to create a game system that by definition is groups of interrelated elements that work together to form a complex whole. And the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. So taking a look at defining games then, we've gone back to full circle. What makes Go Fish a game? What makes Quake a game? They are given structure according to their formal elements, which are objectives, rules, procedures, conflict. Dramatic elements make them emotionally engaging, like storyline or challenge. They are dynamic systems in that they contain both formal and dramatic elements. There are emotional boundaries that define the rules of the game that could be different than what you would do in life. I mean, in Quake, you got to shoot people. Maybe you don't shoot people in life. But in Quake, it's okay. Games are for players with an uncertain outcome. So that brings us to what is a game. According to the textbook, a game is a closed, formal system that engages players in structured conflict and resolves its uncertainty in an unequal outcome. All right, I hope this was helpful. And as you go through this chapter, please read the chapter. Don't just do the PowerPoint, because there's some excellent examples in the textbook that demonstrate these aspects of elements that make up the formal and dramatic elements that are part of a game. Once you've done that and also read this article, watch this movie, there's a discussion for you to participate in this week. What is a game? And it's referring exactly to what's coming out of the chapter. Quake is a game, Go Fish is a game, Call of Duty is a game, Minecraft's a game, Candy Crush is a game, Mario Kart, football, Monopoly. What do they all have in common? How do you define play? I give you articles to read and a discussion, and I want you to write your response, which should be 500 words. 500 words is about a page, so I'm looking for pretty significant responses here. If you have any questions, you can let me know. Contact me by email or join me during my office hours. Talk to you soon.